take your time, but I think you need to know is, Frankie and Frank, let me put this delicately, how much involvement do you have in the day-to-day operations of the township when you're not sitting in a truck? Paying bills, looking at invoices, directing your employees to, show you invoices, that sort of thing. Or do you just wait 5 minutes before the meeting and look at the expense report?
A lot of stuff. I see a lot of the stuff when it comes in.
When you say stuff, you mean invoices?
Invoices and stuff, yeah.
Okay. So you really don't have any, do you ever deal with the bank? Do you ever, besides signing the check, do you ever look at the
expenditure?
Bank reconciliation?
Yeah, do you ever reconcile the checkbook? Do you ever do any of that
stuff? Not my job.
How about you?
Nope, I ain't paid to do.
Do you have any day-to-day, any contact with her by cell phone saying, hey, what'd you do with this or what'd you do with that? It's just all
day by day?
Yeah,
he means the finance.
So you wait 30 days to really know what's going on, right?
No, I talk to Liz when she's here.
Okay, so she's again, that's another subject. She's supposed to be here a couple hours every Wednesday. Now, my wife to this day doesn't have a cell phone number, nothing, no contact information, nothing with Elizabeth, so she cannot call Elizabeth.
What is your phone number?
I want this, I want that.
Elizabeth, could I have your phone number?
Wait. Please.
I'll get it before it's over. Okay, the reason why I'm asking is the bank that we have as our depository, which is First United National Bank, they received a letter from our three supervisors, Mr. Young, Mr. Machoka, and Mr. Machoka, giving Elizabeth full authority on the money. She can transfer it, she can do whatever she wants with the accounts. Okay? They basically don't have any day-to-day involvement in what's going on with the money. Okay? If you want a copy of that, I'll be happy to provide it. That was by Mr. Weaver, was the gentleman's name?
Jody Weaver.
Okay. The reason why they went to the attorney to talk with Mr. Kushner was to give him the heads up that we wanted to work, and I have that letter here as well. We wanted to work with these people and try to basically make things smooth, everything's happy, everybody's getting what they're supposed to be getting for their tax dollars. After we discovered this is when we went to the attorney. Basically what it is you guys sat here and voted to keep Elizabeth for another year. Now, I don't do this to embarrass you. I don't want you to think
I just wish you'd get on with it. What are you accusing me of?
I'm not accusing you of anything.
Okay.
But this is the information that we got that made us, and it would surely make you worry if it was your checkbook. This particular bill paid twice. This particular bill paid twice. That was a biggie. That one was $175 we paid twice. This one came to well over $1,000. Paid twice. This one didn't have an expenditure at all. I've tracked it down and found that it was actually paid for chainsaw repair that Mr. Guinery spoke of earlier. Your proof? Would you like to see it? Okay?
Let me see that one.
Okay. Another one. Paid. I'm sorry, that one's good. This one here, no expenditure, not on the expense report. That one's on the expense report. But what my point is we have, and again, I don't mean any disrespect, and I'm not accusing you of anything. All I'm saying is when bills are being paid, we have no checks and balances. Elizabeth is the only person that's entrusted to do this stuff. Nobody is saying to her, hey, can I see that? And she, with her workload at work and her workload here, she's stressed. She's maxed out. And we were trying to come to the board through Mr. Kushner to say, hey, my wife is willing to help her out with these and kind of help her reconcile things and make sure that SACRO bills for $3,942 aren't on two expenditures. So we don't think we're paid twice. you know, when you pay a check to Zackrell for $39.42 on an expense report, and you go to the bank, and the bank gives you, for that check number, she paid BK&I. She didn't pay Zackrell. She paid Sigworth. She didn't pay Zackrell. Again, you're overwhelmed, you're stressed out. We know that you are. We can see that you are. You know, this bill is paid twice. And if you want everybody to get along and everybody to get what they're working for, why can't we have the bills that we want? Why can't we have the invoices that we want so we can compare and make sure these mistakes aren't being made? And that's all we're asking. If you guys don't want us to be accusatory and you don't want us to go behind your back, we shouldn't have to find out down the road that we're pulling trucks out with other trucks. We should be contacted. I'm always home. My wife sometimes 90% of the time is home. I'll be glad to call her cell phone and say, hey, Frank wants to talk to you. We haven't gotten any. We've spent oodles of money since the 4th of January. We've had all kinds of things going on that are under the table, shouldn't be happening. Like the delivery of the loader. We not only got one set of cutting edges 11.5 foot long, but we damn near got a second set.
You did not know. The cutting edges that were on there, I tried to take them off. He was delivering them to somebody else.
I checked to see where he was delivering them. He told me I'm delivering these to Richland Township. I called them all. None of them were getting any delivery. If that's the kind of business you guys want to do, we'll be happy to play the game. What we're saying is we're willing to work with you. We're willing to take your phone calls. We want them before you send the equipment out. We want them before you spend money. We want them before you go to a vendor and spend money over the counter. We don't want to find out afterwards that you've spent all this money, almost 10 grand this month. We don't want to find out afterwards. We want to find out before.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
If Mr. Amzell is involved in everything, can we just make him an employee too? So then he legally can be involved in everything. So if he's over here messing with something, gets hurt, he can actually
He doesn't want to be an employee. Mr. Amsdell and I have been married for 30 years.
That's fine.
And I love my husband. Excuse me, I'm speaking now.
You know about all this stuff before the meeting.
I know a hell of a lot more than your own board members.
Because he has been helping me.
Any resident can get this.
With my invoices. Mr. Homer Hill has been helping me.
It's my suggestion to hire him. You don't have to go into
No.
When you see someone, after you've been married to somebody for 30 years and you see them agonizing over expenditures that she has no way of reconciling because she never got the invoices, you start to get involved. I don't want to be involved. I could give a rat's if this is I don't care. But my wife is involved, and I believe she's here for a good purpose, and I'm going to be here to support.
Called a supportive spouse.
And if it comes
you get married, you'll know.
I didn't know this.
Okay. Okay.
But my point is this letter from the bank should be rescinded immediately, so that any expenses that have to be changed, money coming from one money market to another money market, from that money market to the checkbook, to cover insufficient checks, which is what's happening, folks. Insufficient checks. I got the proof right here. There needs to be a supervisor in the loop. Hey, I got a problem about the checks bounced. Let's, not incur any fees. Let's transfer some money. No problem. Let's do it. All 3 supervisors should know about it, even if it's through a chain, whatever, but it should be handled without one person being responsible for it. Because what I have seen as a fairly decent accountant of my own funds is that we're throwing money at a problem to cover the problem. Like if there's a $1,000 mistake, we're throwing $2 or $3 grand at it to cover it, and then not really knowing why the problem happened. And that's what I see happening here, folks. I can prove it when we're sending checks to one company and they're putting on the expenditure going to another company. How do you reconcile your checkbook?
Honey, would you please give her those so she can look over them?
Sure.
And Elizabeth, can you please give me your cell number?
I asked the question.
Sure.
Are we paying a bill twice? Is that what I'm understanding, or
Yes, some of the bills have been paid twice.
how could this be?
I believe she's made mistakes in the checkbook.
Okay, wait a minute. Just wait a minute. Homer, answer a question for me, please. I gave you that copy of those state checks, and you said you would go through them to see, because we had talked about the errors on the expenditures report. You thought something might have been paid twice, and you were going to go through and look. I said you can see the invoice numbers on there. If I put that same invoice number in, the computer will tell me. Did you go through that and discover that anything was paid twice?
I can't tell you right offhand. That's been a month now.
But you did go through it. If you found a problem, you would have come back to me, right?
I did.
Unlike Mrs. Amsdell, who decided to go to the solicitor and incur a $175 bill to ask him questions that she should have asked me. But she thought that I was inapproachable. Okay? How am I supposed to take that? Everything she has asked me for, she has been provided with.
No.
Even here tonight, she wanted invoices that have already been filed. I went and dug them all out. Now I'm going to have to refile them all because she wanted to see them. Fine. I have been very cooperative. Who is going behind my back and doing stuff? You go to the bank. You know what?
I didn't go to the bank.
I didn't go to the bank.
Homer and I went to the bank.
I do not have unlimited control over our bank accounts. I want you all to know that right now because it's your money I'm dealing with.
She can make a phone call.
Okay?
And transfer money.
I can make a phone call to the bank as he is stating, and I can transfer funds from our savings to our checking so that a check doesn't bounce and we do not incur a fee. However, I cannot write a check that does not have two supervisor signatures on it.
I know, but they haven't been watching. They haven't been watching
over that account. I do not have loan control over that account. And the letter that was written for them to transfer funds, should a check come in and there's not sufficient funds to pay for it, that was done so that we do not incur an expense for it to get sent back.
For $39.
Which is fine and dandy.
And it's not costing us a dime. We are covering...
Okay, let me ask you a question.
We are covering ourselves.
I can solve the whole problem.
Those funds have to get transferred. Every Wednesday I pay bills.
I'll solve the whole problem.
I keep the minimum amount...
Let her finish, Kevin.
Of money in our checking account because it doesn't draw interest. I leave it all in the savings and I only move it as we need to spend it. That's good financial management because we're earning interest on those dollars. You know what?
It's happening too often.
I am an honest person. Mr. Amsdell, if you come in here...
Excuse me, Elizabeth, please.
If he would stop speaking over me, I wouldn't scream.
Well, don't scream at our resident.
She's screaming at me. You're screaming at her.
You're
an employee here. You're going to get a permanent record is what you're going to get.
No. What I am going to get...
I gave a lot of them in my time. I know that they can get them.
But let me tell you something. You are talking about...
Hey, just let her finish.
Frank, you
Linda, she's not a resident.
Scream at a
She's
resident.
an employee. She has no input
You know
in this
what?
meeting.
I'm filing charges against you for slander because you will absolutely ruin my reputation as an accountant to spread that kind of filthy line about me.
Answer one question for me. If you're so high and mighty, I didn't want to get into this, but if you're so wonderful a secretary, in the last month and a half, 2 months, have we had any insufficient checks in our checkbook? Either general or state, that you had to transfer money to cover?
I've transferred money in the last 2 months,
yes. To cover an insufficient check, yes or no?
No.
You're incorrect. My wife went to the bank, they told her they were insufficient because the checkbook was not reconciled properly. So you go ahead and file your slander suit.
The bank
and I'll
told
bring in my
her
records.
Our bank, what?
The bank told her, Mr. Weaver, as a matter of fact, told her that you have had too many to mention
transfers of money.
Insufficient checks that you transferred money to cover.
Homer,
and she asked him,
You are my witness. Are we,
Was there a
is he
fee, though?
correct?
Was there a fee?
what the hell's the difference if
Well,
there's a
because
fee?
if she's saving money for getting interest on one account,
She's writing insufficient checks.
are they bound?
What the
We're
hell?
not bouncing the
They're
funds.
insufficient funds.
Because if it's not,
Shut 'em
if
all
we're
up.
not being charged, it
well,
doesn't matter.
They're
Well,
insufficient. What's the
We're still
difference?
collecting our
I'm not
interest and
arguing
All right,
about
whoa.
a $39 fee. I'm arguing about insufficient checks being written from our state.
We're moving.
And not only does that affect our money, but if liquid fuels people find out about it, we won't be getting any liquid fuels because she's bouncing them on the state account. I take that back. She's insufficient on the state account.